brief is not usually a word that you associate with me, so here we go. Well, Ron, we're finally here. Congratulations. And you and I have talked about this quite a bit over the last little bit, but you've heard what a wonderful guy he is and how smart he is. I don't want to dwell on all those good features. I wanted to tell a few of my fond memories of Ron. We go back really almost to, well, we're literally to the day probably I got out of programmer training in 1985. I came up to General Systems, and I was immediately introduced to the other guy from Cleveland. So that's been our long-standing connection for whatever that's been, 20-something years, the Cleveland connection. And back then, those were the days of Boomer Esiason and Bernie Kosar, and it seemed like that football rivalry was more intense. I don't know if it was the teams were better or what, but many a day I remember coming in here on a Monday after a Browns-Bengals game, and Ron and I either got to gloat a little bit or had to go hide under our desks. But I have something for you, Ron. I actually have a number of props here. So you have to open you have to step on up.
Okay.
This isn't my official gift.
Okay.
Go ahead and open that up.
Gift
And
that
I'll
we're
see
going to
if
open
you
up now.
remember this.
Well, I am getting older. Okay, so I'm like the Bernie Kosar bar.
So this was a Bernie Kosar candy bar.
Wow.
There's actually a little piece of it left.
I was going to say, you did eat some of it.
It's what's left is Bernie's autograph, etched in chocolate. So I'm guessing there is not anybody else on the planet that has that.
Wow.
I don't know why. I didn't know why I was
a
eating
little
it.
crystallized, but it still looks like chocolate.
If you,
I might sell this on eBay.
we etched the candy bar with a pencil drawing before we ate it in 1989. And, so if you want to know what the original looked like, and this corner here says that Pam Dorman ate
Oh
that.
yeah, who's retired, Pam Dorman, yeah.
So anyway.
It looks like it has some work on it. Recoup only, E181.
Those are Sam's.
Wow.
I can remember those. All right, so the other thing that we have in common, our Cleveland connection, is Ron and I, you can sit down.
Thank you.
We discovered, or invented, I think, the secret Cleveland password, right? I don't
Absolutely.
think that existed. And that came, this is what, we run this test on many people over the years if they claim to be from Cleveland. We asked them, what's the little strip of grass between the sidewalk and the street called? Does anybody here, anyone not from Cleveland, you've probably heard us talk about this. The answer is?
It's the tree lawn.
The tree lawn.
All my family knows this.
I know that.
The tree lawn is the little strip of grass.
That's what it is.
Well, we
It's tree lawn.
discovered that nobody in Cincinnati knew what we were talking about.
But the word's getting out now, so you feel free to use
Beginning
it.
to
You know.
spread. So back in those days, and I think Jenny referred to this, there never a week went by that Ron didn't come in with some elaborate and unfortunate story. Usually never anything life-threatening, but some sort of thing that maybe the boys got into, or flooding in the backyard was one I kind of remember, or painting. So what we didn't realize is that these, we called them you said the Glotzbecker lock, or I said the Glotzbecker story, And unfortunately, they started to spread. So they're contagious. I'll give you an example of when I was playing soccer with my son, and I kicked a ball through the window of our garage, shattered the window. But that's not a Glotzbecker story. So after I cleaned it up, I opened the garage door, and I'm looking, and there's glass everywhere. And I had shattered the rear windshield of my car, as well as the window and door. That's a Glotzbecker. There's just that little added twist. It seemed to only happen to Ron or anybody they're associated with. They're also hereditary. Greg, a few years ago, you didn't realize you were going to be part of this.
Did not know.
You're driving up from New Orleans, and the weather was getting bad, and your mom and dad, wanted you to pull off. So you pulled in, stayed in the hotel outside of Tuscaloosa, and later that day took this picture. Blowing through, sadly, blowing through Tuscaloosa, narrowly averted, but that's a Glotzbecker story. That's the kind of things that happen.
That's true.
Let's see, what else do I have here? Another little known fact about Ron. In the early 90s, Microsoft came out with Microsoft Office. We all know that well now. And they introduced a new thing that was called the Clip Art Gallery. And those were the little pictures that you could put in your PowerPoints or whatever. And somehow Bill Gates managed to get Ron as main stars of the clip art gallery. We all just got a big kick out of that.
I got no money. I got no money.
All right, so hopefully I saved the best for last. This is probably my favorite, and it was a recent one actually, favorite story. I hope you don't mind me telling this. I hope it's not a...
I hope not either.
Well, Ron and I are both follically impaired, as you can tell. So Ron has been my mentor around losing hair over the years. He taught me how to do that. He taught me all about hats and all kinds of good ideas. But Ron had to have, this is the HIPAA violation, Ron had to have some surgery up on the, this is just the greatest thing. He had to have some surgery up top of his head, and he had to check with benefits to see if this surgery was going to be covered. And I tell you, I don't think a comedian could have written a better bit. Turns out benefits only covers that type of surgery under certain circumstances. So Ron's talking to this very nice benefits girl, and she says, well, it's covered only if the surgery is on your face. And Ron says, I don't mean to be funny, but I'm a bald man. What do you consider the end of my face? It brings tears to my eyes every time I think about it. And he doesn't even really mean it. So, anyway. So, flash forward a couple of years, 20 years or so. I've had the privilege of working with Ron over the last 3 or 4 years on the identity management project. He came into the team and was very concerned about not knowing anything and who are the smart guys kind of thing. But Ron picked it all right up as we expect, and he really became kind of an expert in where we were trying to go with identity, and particularly ACF2 in the mainframe. But the important thing, besides the technical stuff, and this, I go back to what others said, what Ron was tremendous about with this project was what I would call change management. People were changing, and Ron was there as, he's a respected technician, so people knew that if he told them where we were headed, that they could trust him. But he is a friendly guy, a helpful guy, and really helped through a number of teams making that transition. So that's what we value about you. Oh, you coined the word functionalization as part of that. That's another in the Western Southern lexicon. Let's see. Ron, I'm almost wrapped up here. Ron worked especially hard over the last couple of months to make sure that project finished up, and I had an opportunity on Friday. Ron's never one to leave anything hanging. He's going to finish that project. So he didn't know I took this. But here's a picture of Ron. This is 4:40 on Friday, his last day at Western Southern, looking over the shoulder here, helping out. You remember even joking with Chuck.
Yeah, that's my bald head.
That's your
Microsoft guy.
So I took that because I thought, there's the man doing what he needs to do right to the last minute. So Ron, we're all very honored to have known you, worked with you. Terry Brown, I talked with her a couple weeks ago. You worked with her for a few years on the identity, and she really summed it up. She just says, one of my favorite all-time people, and I think we all would agree that that's how we think of Ron. So congratulations.